This may be my favorite podcast interview yet. I am thrilled to bring Erin Diehl to you. Erin's company runs workshops leveraging improv techniques to improve employee skills in corporate settings. That's right, she brings improv to the corporate world, and I told her, and you'll hear this in the interview, that to me a few years ago sounded like putting ketchup on an apple, but actually turns out improv in the corporate setting is a lot more like apple and peanut butter. It actually works really, really well together. In fact, Erin and her company are 8 years in the making. They're really successful, work with clients such as United Airlines, PepsiCo, Groupon, Deloitte, Motorola, Walgreens, and even the Obama Foundation. And I know some lucky few on her team have actually met Obama in one of her workshops. So she is also a self-proclaimed Failfluencer, which we're absolutely going to talk about. You hear us chat about failing, seeing failure as a gift, letting go of control, playing and going along with situations that are unexpected, and so much more. I loved everything that she shared, and she's just a super fun person. In fact, I just love to pack a bag, pick her up, and go on a girls trip. And I'd be sure it would be the best weekend of my life. With a lot of unexpected surprises, positivity, and laughter. And you're going to find out why that is and what she has to say about improv and how improv helps leaders develop themselves and get better in their leadership roles, but also helps teams collaborate well, communicate well, and create a safe work environment. I'm thrilled to bring this conversation to you, so let's dive in. Here's the question. How do you successfully transition into your first official leadership role, build the confidence and competence to lead your team successfully, and establish yourself as a respected and trusted leader across the organization? That's the question, and this show provides the answers. Welcome to the Manager Track podcast. I'm your host, Ramona Shaw, and I'm on a mission to create workplaces where work is not seen as a source of stress and dread, but as a source of contribution, connection, and fulfillment. And this transition starts with developing a new generation of leaders who know how to lead so everyone wins and grows. In this show, you learn how to think, communicate, and act as the confident and competent leader you know you can be.
Let's do it.
And then I want to talk about improv.
Yes.
And like all the things.
I'm here for it.
Okay.
Ramona, I am here for you.
Okay, we got to keep the singing in.
Okay.
Welcome to the Manager Track podcast. This is Erin Diehl on the show today. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm always here for this conversation, Ramona. Always.
Yeah. Prepared, ready and prepared to succeed and to fail. And we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
A lot of people may not know this. I was on your podcast recently, which you said is going to come out soon, at the time of this recording, at least. And that was a really fun conversation. Erin and I seem to have a lot in common. So you'll notice that as we go through the show. But one thing that she did with me was, well, tell me 5 things that are not on your bio. And I listened to about 7 of her podcasts before I just got addicted to her podcast, which you'll find in the show notes. And I listened to them and I thought it was so fun. And then she asks this question to every guest on the podcast. And yet I sit there, I'm like, I got notes for everything else, but I did not prepare for that question or not adequately. So I was totally improvising. And now it's your turn. And you said you didn't prepare. So
I did it.
What are the 5 things? And I'm going to do it like Erin style. She's like, okay, 1.
Yes. Okay. 1. This one is fun. I always use this one. I was on The Price is Right. And
no way.
Yes. And I had never seen this show before. And I came on down with Drew Carey and I won a bird bath and 32 wine glasses, which I did not claim because you have to pay taxes on that.
It's so fun.
So, okay, I lived in a high rise in Chicago. I was like, I don't need a bird bath. Give me the wine glasses. All right. 2.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
This is something, though, that you'll know because it's just very obvious, but I am obsessed with the color teal. It is my life color. It is my happy color. So literally, I have an annoying amount of things that are teal, but you could see that from talking to me right now.
Yeah, check out YouTube. You'll see that everything's tealed up. Oh, that way it's like, don't show that. It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much. I literally forgot that my headphones were teal and I'm wearing a teal top. Okay. 3, Yeah, I went skydiving on my husband's 30th birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and this was a while ago. Okay, a while ago. And it was probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my life, and will probably never do again.
Especially
And
once you have kids. I'm like,
y-
yeah, let me think about this again.
yep,
Yeah.
nope.
Awesome.
I have gone to almost actually every state in the United States except for South and North Dakota.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, interesting fact there.
Yeah.
And
Should change that. That's a lot of travel though.
a lot of travel. And here's number
Mm-hmm.
5 that's a follow-up to that.
Mm-hmm.
I traveled most of the country in a yellow ambulance in my 20s.
No way.
Yeah.
That is so fun.
It was a really fun. I worked for this marketing agency based out of New York. It was on a campaign called Verb, and it was trying to get teens and tweens physically active. So
Uh-huh.
we traveled the country in a yellow ambulance, literally passing out these yellow balls. And I drove a yellow ambulance like in many, many states. And then after that, I went on another tour for the same agency, and we went to every major college rivalry football game in the country during football season. And I
Wow.
did that in a 16-foot box truck, and I drove it.
Oh my gosh. I want to have that job. I was doing spreadsheets in front of a computer in my 20s.
Yes.
Just like comparing job choice.
Listen, it's
Oh my gosh, so
I
fun.
do spreadsheets now. So I went
Yeah.
from the road to a spreadsheet. Okay, so I feel
Right.
you.
There's maybe in my 50s, I will do crazy stuff and I will travel around in a yellow emergency truck. Who knew? So fun. Okay, so talking about improv and your company, one of the things that I find is really interesting is you work in organizations, right? So I think before I knew about this work in organizations, I knew about improv and theater, obviously, but that was something that people do who are extroverted, people who have a lot of courage and self-confidence, and they want to play and, they're artists to some extent. And I heard this more and more. People would do improv workshops in organizations. And I thought, no, that's like me putting ketchup on an apple. But it does work so well. So tell us how our company's benefiting from doing improv.
Yes. My 3-year-old has put ketchup on an apple before and eaten it. And it doesn't
And she,
I
she
not
liked
really
it.
a fan, not a fan.
No.
Not a fan. So, it's so interesting because a lot of times when people think of the word improv, they get really nervous. They get what I like to call the ick factor, which is where you become really sweaty, your armpits get really grossed out, you need a strong antiperspirant deodorant, and you think, oh my gosh, I can't make things up on the spot. When in reality, we are making things up every single day. This conversation is improv, one-on-one meetings, coaching calls, team meetings. Everything is improvised, and you can follow a loose script, but you're always going to go off book. And that's really where the magic happens. So for me, I actually was terrified of improv. Just to give you kind of context, I grew up singing, not well, dancing, and acting in sketch comedy my entire life.
Mhm.
When I graduated from college, I moved to Chicago, and I was cast in this off-Broadway show that had a very loose script, was so improv based. So I had to immerse myself in this world of improv. I'll tell you what, I was terrified of it. Terrified. And every time I would go to class, I would get that what I call ick factor. I would feel
Yeah.
so sweaty, so nervous in my own skin. A lot of sweat talk here. And what I found is, as a type A, I call myself a recovering perfectionist turned Failfluencer.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yes, when you let go of that control and the need to control, that is literally where the magic happens in life, not just in business. So when I started immersing myself in improv, I was working at a recruiting firm. I was doing business development at a recruiting firm. And I will tell you, literally, doors slammed in my face. Like, talk about, like, not a hypothetical door. I had a door in my nose once because recruiting is a hard job. Selling recruiting services are even harder. And I started really diving into improv at this time and noticing everything I do in my class and in rehearsal and on shows spill over in my day to day. I was becoming a better
Mm,
listener. I was more empathetic. I was more present. I was thinking more quickly on my feet. All of those things were just boom, 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 right on top of each other. So I said, okay, I am going to really start leaning into this idea of using improv at work. And at the time, my boss, who is still one of my greatest mentors today, said, "This is a great idea. Why don't you pilot this program to United Airlines?" Pun intended, pilot it up. So I
mhm,
did. And then I really just, because of my own undertaking of witnessing the transformation
mhm,
of knowing the art form and putting it into context in a business sense,
mhm,
knew it could help so many other people.
mhm.
And it's my life's work. I have seen teams walk in 20 individuals and walk out a cohesive group of people. I have witnessed hundreds of people do the same thing. It's the most magical teaching tool that I know that helps break down barriers, postpone judgment, make people be more present, and allow people to feel seen, heard, and valued. And truly the best teaching tool I know.
That is amazing. I think we're all sold. Where
Sign
do we
up,
sign up?
sign
I
up.
know.
Yeah.
I know. On your podcast, I was telling you that, or when we were chatting, I said I'm more scared of improv than I was of skydiving, because
Yep.
skydiving is like nothing I could do wrong, but improv, I feel like I could do a lot of things wrong. But you spoke about something that I thought, and by the way, all the things that you listed are 100% things that a lot of my clients and people I talk to day in and day out want to get better at, and they practice and they use different tools to improve in these areas. And I think improv is something that many of us don't think about as a go-to solution. And one of the things that you said in terms of benefits, the listening and the presence and the communication, what I'm hearing too is, how do I communicate in a way that sets other people up for success? Like
Mm,
in improv, right? You don't set people up for failure.
that's
And that
it.
creates like an underlying sort of this safety. Oh, you talk about the cohesive group. And I think there's probably a level of safety that was built, and the trusting the other people will have my back. And therefore, if I fail, it'll be okay. Right. So
That is
failure is not the
it.
point. It's like knowing that I'm going to be okay, even if I fail or
That is
when
it.
I fail.
That's it. It's this whole mindset. And that's funny you say the words got your back. When I go on stage or right before a workshop or anything with my team, who are
Mm-hmm,
some of the most hilarious improvisers in the world, by the way, there's
mm-hmm,
22 of them, and they are all so funny, trained at the major schools of comedy. We will pat each other on the back before we walk in a room and say, got your back, got your back, got your back, got your back. Because we let each other know we're not going to let you down. I'm going to pick you up if you need me, and I'll do the same for you, vice versa. It is a two-way street. This idea, one of the biggest rules of improv is yes and. So,
mm-hmm,
yes, I hear you. I'm not going to negate what you said. I'm not going to make you feel dumb. I'm going to make you look like a poet, a genius, a scholar by
mm-hmm,
not agreeing, but complimenting what you said and adding to it. And so that's how scenes are built on stage. And if you pull that same construct from the stage to a business setting, that's how
mm-hmm,
great teams function. It's when the leader takes the rank and the title away from their title and says, hey, all voices in this room should be heard. Throw out
mm-hmm,
ideas, and no one's idea is a bad idea. We're just going to take them and we're going to build them together. And that's what makes
mm-hmm.
people want to show up to work, when they feel seen, heard, and valued. And then we all know what happens then. Productivity rises, people, organizations thrive. It's this concept that it sounds so easy in theory, but is so rarely done correctly in a business setting. And it's a joy to witness it happen, because
Mm-hmm.
it's free. It is a
Yeah.
free tool, and it's so easy to do.
Let's boil it down to some of the core principles, because I talk a lot about having leadership principles, but this may be more of a team principle. When we say I got your back, or I'm going to compliment what you say, I'm not going to judge what you say, it changes the complete dynamic in a team. what else would you say are some of the mindset, like behind the improv, the tactical, what you actually say and what you do in the moment? What are the thoughts or the attitudes that you go into a conversation like this and that you then also want to bring home and back into communication with your team?
Yeah. So there's many components and many rules of improv. Every school of comedy has its own, let's say, ideal or idea of what great improv is, but the principles of it remain the same. So, number one, there's no. You literally use yes and as an opportunity to move things forward. Two, it's give and take. So you're not the one dominating the conversation. You're allowing the other person an opportunity to talk. We also say in improv, play to the top of your intelligence. So take what you know and apply it. And don't let in those limiting beliefs that we might all have as human beings and as people, that imposter syndrome that comes in on a day-to-day basis. Take that, throw it out the window, and just play with what you know, because you have life experience and you know a lot. All these things are direct lifts from classes and schools of thought of improv, and they are just so awesomely applied in the school of life. They are fundamentals that, and this is why I was so attracted to improv in general, was that number one, you can be yourself. You don't have to be anybody else. And you can also play characters. You can also go into this world that you want to create with other people, and you can't pre-plan. You cannot write down a script because it's not going to work. You have to listen and be present in the moment and react to the last thing said in order to make a scene move forward. And so it was really like this whole, like you said, improv was scary more than skydiving. It was scary to me too. I was terrified. And so it started to really become like exposure therapy the more that I did it, because I worked that muscle of letting go, Like, I'm trying to think of it in context. So like right now, if you see me sitting back in my chair like this, I'm having some posture issues, right? And so my need to control my shoulders is always like, I'm always sitting with my shoulders up high, close to my ears, if you can't see me. So I'm trying to control myself constantly by pushing my shoulders down. When in theory, if I just let go of control in general, I'm probably not going to have my shoulders hunched, because I'm not going to be stressed. I'm going to trust that everything's going to happen around me for me, because I'm putting trust in myself and the people that I surround myself with. That was a really metaphorical way to say in improv, you have to trust that the people around you are going to do their part, and trust yourself. There's so many sort of rabbit holes I could go down of this art form.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about control, because I think that, a lot of people that are in my audience are new managers, or I want to say in their first 5 years or so of their leadership career. And they know that they have to kind of prove themselves as leaders to their team members. Some of them might have been former peers, to their boss, who's going to look at, are they actually cut out to be a leader? Did I make a good choice with hiring them or promoting them? And then to the rest of the organization to look at, are they going to actually become leaders who are culture carriers, or that we want to promote and build and grow as part of our succession plan inside the organization? So senior leaders are watching, the direct managers watching, the coworkers are watching, the direct reports are watching. And it's easy to go into that place and think, oh my gosh, so much pressure. And I'm like, I'm tensing my muscles just saying that, and feeling like I got to control things, and I got to make sure everything looks good and everything runs well. And if something doesn't, I have to really try to fix it or pretend it's not there. We have different approaches to that. So how does learning how to let go of control in an improv situation actually help us be better leaders in organizations?
Oh my God. I'm like witnessing this as my own self, being a leader for 8 years. I've seen it time and time again, because we coach emerging leaders. We develop teams that start from interns to senior leaders. And I've witnessed it time and time again, where the person who has the tightest hold actually has the loosest control of the group in general. I myself had to learn this in the very beginning of building Improve It. I am type A, like I am. It's just who I am. I like lists. I like checklists, and I like to see things a certain way. And I'll never forget this. A woman on my team who's still with me, she's our director of talent. I handed over the management of logistics of coordinating our team and staffing our team to her. But I wanted to be copied on every single email. And she said to me, Erin, I'm never going to do my job well if I feel like you're constantly looking over my shoulder. She was like, you have to trust that I can do this. And I'll never forget that moment because it really made me realize what was I doing? She helped me hire these people. They know and trust her. Why do I feel like I need to be a part of this? So the looser I became of my own grip and the more trust I instilled in my team, the more empowered they became. And I have this team now of amazing professionals. They are internally all women. We have male facilitators, love them so much. But it is a very interesting dynamic because now, once I've fully let go, I've watched them blossom and turn into their best selves professionally. Whereas the tighter I was holding them, the tighter I was limiting their own career journey is really what I was doing. So from even a personal standpoint, I've seen it. From an outsider's point of view, I've seen teams that feel stifled because they can't speak up or they can't connect with their manager or their leader or their team members for that matter, because there's so much control. So letting go causes people to feel empowered.
So it maybe you get a sense of control, like it feels like, no, but I'm doing the right thing because I'm controlling, but you're therefore also controlling the growth of the team, in which you're not controlling it in a positive way. You're stifling it, right?
Totally.
That's what you're saying.
That's it. Yeah. That was a much more buttoned up way.
No, but taking the complex.
I'm like, take it down for me. Take it from here to here.
I think it's important because people who do exert control, they think they need that sense of control. Sometimes even I hear my manager say, but my boss says I need to do this. So they sometimes feel like they need to have control and they're being told to do so. And then they actually get a sense of control. Like, yeah, if you're CC'd on all emails, you probably feel more in control than if you're not.
Yeah.
But that also means the end product that you want isn't controlled. The end product is a great outcome or a great product or a great delivery to a client. No one's business aims for control, right? That's like a means to the end, which usually doesn't work. Yeah, it's ineffective.
And it's also tiring from a leadership perspective. Like even in that scenario, like you're on all those emails. There's like 20 more emails in your inbox. Like that's time out of your own day. If you got out of your own way, you could just allow that person to thrive and you could thrive in the area that you're supposed to thrive in.
Yeah.
And can I speak to this too, like on a life level? Yeah. I find that when I try to control things in my own life, they just don't happen the way that I think that they should. And I have recently found when I say to the universe, whoever, I'm getting real woo-woo here, but when I let go of the tight hold that I have on, let's say, clients coming in the door or things, accolades and awards that we want to win, when I let go of that and I say, just do what you want with us, like let us do the good that we are here to do, so much more happens on a life level when you don't try to control every single thing in front of you.
Yeah, and it's totally interesting. I'm always fascinated by that too. And I think I needed to hear that today, by the way.
Well, I heard it last week, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm a little woo-woo person. I meditate a lot, and I meditated about it. And I gotta tell you, Ramona, it was crazy. The shift it made in my week. Like things just happened that I was unexpected or not expecting in a great way. Cause I was just like, all right, well, this is where we're supposed to go. But I was holding some stuff real tight for a long time. So
yeah. See, I needed to. But then I'm gonna be sort of the devil's advocate on this. know when to let go, and when letting go is a pretty cover up for winging it, or for being a little bit more passive than we probably should be?
Totally. Okay, same conversation that I just told you about. Same thing that I was saying I let go. I told my husband this because some really great things came to fruition last week. I said, I let go. I told the universe, I'm ready. Take me wherever. And it just happened. And he said, how about that's the truth? And you have been working really hard. You're prepared. You have been trying to accomplish these goals for several years, and they finally came to fruition. So I do think that when you say the words letting go, it doesn't mean giving up. Like you've got this, let's say you have a project due at work and you're like, I'm just going to let go and it'll come to me when it comes. No.
Erin said to meditate. Wait, what?
Yeah. Just go to closet and it'll magically show up on your desktop. It's a matter of not necessarily having to dot every I, cross every T to, like I always say, progress, not perfection. As a recovering perfectionist, the letting go for me is letting go of the control for it to be perfect. It's letting go of the need to overachieve, be the best, do XYZ. That's my version of letting go. And it does, and a lot of people hear that, and it doesn't mean that you should not do the work. It just means do the work with the understanding that you are putting yourself in a position to bring something to the table, whether it be this project, whether it be, these emails that you're writing and CCing people on, and you're doing it with ease and the more you have, I always say this too, if you can measure the amount of success in your day by the amount of fun that you're having, your days will be so successful. So allowing joy to come through is what I really mean with letting go. It's not holding things so tightly and taking things so seriously, but still doing the work, but with an attitude of, this is fun. I'm adding something to the world by contributing to this project, by doing this thing.
And I think that also brings to the point, like we have so much influence over how we see things and what we pay attention to. If I measure my success, not by how much I can check off my to-do list, but how much fun I had, I'll probably go about my days very differently. And nothing other than my mindset changed in the process. Or what I focus on. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the beginning of Improve It, I also remember a girl on my team saying, I got to tell you, I've had some mindset shifts over the years. And I was not always this woo-woo of a human being. A lot of self-reflection. I'll tell you, just honestly, it came through a lot of infertility issues. I was having, my son is a miracle baby.
Oh, wow.
Through that, I found mindfulness and meditation, and I have completely changed my outlook on life because of it. And in the beginning of Improve It, I was always stressed. A girl on my team said, I don't know if you're actually stressed or you just feel like being stressed means that you're busy. And
so good.
So good. So good. And that was 10 years ago she said that. So I remember that. And I used to come in, I was like that person, I lived in Chicago at the time. I would get off the train. I would have stood, I'm talking about armpits again. I would have stood at an armpit for 10 minutes on the train to get to work. I'd have to get off the train, walk 10 minutes in like freezing cold weather and stinking snow boots to get to my office. And then I'd go to Starbucks and I'd stand in the Starbucks line, and I was pissed off. Like every time I got to that Starbucks line, I was mad. And I remember I had a client, this was in my recruiting days, see me in the Starbucks line, but I didn't know it. She told me 2 days later, and she said, Erin, I didn't say hi to you because you look so angry. So that's how I used to show up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And so I realized I had to like put that right energy into me in order to give that right energy out to the people that I was serving and leading. And it changed everything. So
I want to recap that. She said, I don't know if you're so stressed, if you're actually stressed, or if you feel like being stressed is a sign of being busy.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, that was it.
I think it's a question we all should ask ourselves sometimes.
Yeah. Like, I'm so important. I've got this next meeting. I've got to do
Yeah.
this. Oh, I'm so, and now I'm like, busy is not a badge of honor. It is actually I want to have a full plate filled with things that I enjoy, but I don't want to be busy. I want to be abundantly satisfied with work.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And when someone says like, oh, you're so busy, for example, they look at my life and it's, oh, you're so busy. And I always, in my mind, I always correct them. Like, I have a rich life. I have a rich life in a lot of things, and a dog and kids and a business and hobbies and relationships. And it's like, yeah, I have a rich life and I love it. I love how you said, like, I want to have a full plate of things that we enjoy. And then we don't need to control so much either. Speaking of control and having a full plate, let's talk about the whole thing around failure, because a lot of people listening can relate to this idea of being a perfectionist or imposter syndrome and not wanting to fail, or doubts running through their mind. So tell us about your Failfluencer philosophy.
Yes. Okay. So let me just take a step back here. It's 2020. Okay. The first of the year, my business is booming. It's January, February. Life is good. We're a completely in-person business. March 2020. The world stops. A world that did not have in-person events was never a part of my business plan. It was never a risk that I thought I would ever have to calculate. So immediately we start thinking, how can we make our business virtual, as many businesses did during this time period? It was terrible. It was awful. I don't want to go back there. It's like 6th grade. I don't want to repeat it. I had retainers and braces. It was bad. So anyway, I'm thinking about, how do I show up? What do I want to show up as in the world right now? Because I had not social media. I had not made any of my things public. I had not posted vulnerable posts ever. So I said, I'm going to make it public. I'm going to change my Instagram handle to Keeping It Real Deal. And I'm going to lean into this idea of failure, because I am failing every single day here right now. And I'm failing fast, and I'm failing multiple times a day. And I know many people are going to be feeling the same way. So the first picture I posted was literally of me crying, which now there's that whole thing about the CEO on LinkedIn. Yes, pre that. Okay, pre that. And
hashtag pre the crying thing.
Pre the crying thing. But I'm letting other people know that they are not alone. And so for me, there's a rule in improv, which I didn't mention before. There are no mistakes, only gifts. So anything that happens on stage in an improv scene is not a mistake. It actually becomes a part of the scene. So for example, if you and I were just chatting right now and I spilled water from my teal water cup on my computer and I said, crap, I'm not just going to let that sit there. Obviously, I'm going to start cleaning it up and you're going to see it. So I'm going to say, crap. Oh my God, Ramona, craps is my favorite game to play in Vegas. Have you ever been? Let's do a girls trip. So and I'm cleaning up my water, making this a part of the scene, right?
Yeah.
Same with life. So instead of just sitting there and saying, okay, I'm going to let 2020 just come and hit me in the face. No, I'm going to allow it to be a part of my life, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to fail-fluence, because I'm not an influencer. Okay. I guess I have a podcast too, whatever, but I'm not here to sell, tea that makes you lose weight. I'm here to make you feel like you are not alone. And I'm here to make you feel like failing is okay. And so I really leaned into this idea. I have this saying behind me. You see, it says fail. Yeah. And I really realized that failing frequently helped me with success. It was the fundamental of success for me, because through 2020, we created so many new revenue streams for our business. We kept almost all of our people, and some people moved, so things changed. But we literally tried our best to survive. I would not call it thriving. And the outcome sitting here in 2022 is a beautiful group of human beings who I'm so proud to have, who I get to work with every single day, who now have multiple ways to facilitate and bring the laughter, levity, positivity that we do to the world. And if it wasn't for this idea of just throwing things out there and seeing what sticks, we would not have been, I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's so crazy. So, it has been the through line. And I will say that 2020 was the hardest year of my life ever. I also, like, through that time period, I had a 1-year-old. We moved across the country to be closer to my family. My mom had a stroke and is literally in ICU and in rehab for 7 to 8 weeks during COVID. I couldn't see her. Like, it was like a crazy time while keeping this business together. And so Failfluencing is truly, I think it's my calling because I've always been self-deprecating too. So for me, it's very freeing to be like, oh, fail 4, and if you allow your team to do that, and you lead from this place of, it's okay. You're not a robot.
Yeah, totally okay.
They're going to be okay, number one, with admitting defeat. Number two, there's going to be so much more innovation because they're allowed to try.
Totally. When you talked about, and then, March came and everything changed. And I had this visual of like, imagine Truman Show. And then it's just like you're on stage.
Yeah.
The Truman stage. And March 2020 comes and and you're doing improv on the stage and someone's throwing COVID at you, right? It's like, and I got to say, like, no failure. It's just yes. And what are we going to do? Right. And so we're all picking each other up as we're like throwing COVID from one to the other and trying to figure out what to do with this. But that attitude, I can see how that transpires into so many areas of our lives when we start to see it as that and cultivate an environment and a culture in our team where it's failure. Like you said, you're not a robot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we started doing failure parties, during this time. So you know how you have a vision board and you create goals on this vision board? Well, we would do the opposite. We would do failure boards. So we would like take little clips from the internet and make a PowerPoint, and we would do little Zoom meetings, and everybody would share their professional and personal fails. And we would be like, fail, after every single thing. And it was liberating. Honestly, it's so liberating because I'm going to make a mistake. I've made 1,000 mistakes during my time leading Improve It. I'll make another one tomorrow. If you don't learn from them and see them as opportunities to do better, then you've missed the point.
Yeah. Or your goals are not high enough, right? I think whenever we are feeling too comfortable, and we think like, we got it. Like, I am happy 80% of the time. All is going well. I'm successful 90% of the time. Then we may be like, maybe push the limits a bit.
Yeah. That's it.
Goals. So
Get
it's more
comfortable.
50-50. Yeah.
Yep. Get comfy with that. Comfy.
Totally. That should go on a pillow.
Yeah.
I have one last question before we wrap. Tell me your thoughts around humor in the workplace. I have sort of heard a range of different thoughts about this. And I also have a bit of different opinions about using humor. And I think I have a different answer for men than I do for women, generally speaking. But I want to hear your take on humor in the workplace.
Oh, I think use it. Well, wait, I have to go back to your humor. You just give me that genius idea. I want to make a pillow that says that. Get comfy with the uncomfy. Okay. So first of all, everybody's going to have pillows at their chair. These are going to be lumbar pillows for your chair for my back problems. And they're going to say, get comfy. Oh, we just created a new product line on this show. Humor in the workplace. I think when appropriate, like there's humor, there's self-deprecating, there's different types of humor. I got a 3-year-old potty humor, that's one version. You've got various versions of humor in life. As long as the humor is not creating a space that does not have psychological safety, as long as you feel safe, you feel supported, you are not being bullied, you feel like you belong, and we are creating conversation that uses laughter, levity, and positivity. I think humor at work is great. I don't think humor that points fingers at any person that is different. I don't think humor that is, I actually kind of get annoyed with some of the internet memes about work because I see the people who do them and I respect them, but I also think it creates a lot of negativity. So I think as long as humor has, in my opinion, an uplifting side and it's not polarizing or making somebody feel excluded, then I think it's great because it breaks down barriers. When we laugh, we become more comfortable. And that's how I teach, is through laughter. So it's almost like we're tricking people, which sounds mean, into learning because we're making them laugh and connect. And I think laughter can connect us. I think it can create commonalities that even in the most different of people, we can see through a laughter lens. But I don't like the negative type of humor that can exist. And I don't like it if it's exclusive and it makes people feel bad. Uplifting humor is I think, always a plus.
Yeah.
But I don't like the negative side.
Yeah, I love how you framed that. And I think it's something I hardly ever talk about humor on this podcast. So I'm glad we touched on this with you as an expert in this field. And I think sometimes people aren't aware of the distinction of what is humor that is appropriate and what is humor that's probably having a negative effect. Overall, it might be funny in the moment for some people, but not everyone in the room, and could really tear down sort of the spirit overall. Or not quite a safe place. Yeah. So true. Okay. So let's recap. Like, you shared some golden nuggets, tons of them. And in the very beginning, I want to go back to that and just hone in on it one more time. You said when we use improv as a training tool that then becomes applicable or allows us to replicate similar practices or behaviors in the workplace, or we improve on, what was that?
We improve ourselves, our culture, our productivity.
Yeah, we get better listeners.
Yes. Oh, okay. There it is. I'm like, what did I say? I don't know. Half the time it comes out of this trap. We become better listeners. We become more empathetic. We become more present in the moment. And we have the ability to think more quickly on our feet.
Yeah. Love it.
I had to recap my own recap. I don't even,
so
that took me back.
So good. And I think it's like a big part also is that creating a positive environment where people have each other's back and feel like seen, cared for, respected the way that they are, don't feel like they have to worry about making mistakes and so forth.
Totally. And that's the goal. That's the goal with improv.
Yep. So anyone who wants this, how can I find you?
Love it. So you can go to our website, www, that's the World Wide Web, learntoimproveit.com. And then you have to check out Ramona on the Improve It podcast.
We'll link to that as well. Yeah,
yes,
totally.
It's going to be episode 122 of the Improve It pod. So that will come out very soon while we're recording this next week. And you can check me out on LinkedIn as the only Erin Diehl at Improve It, or Keeping It Real Deal on the gram.
On the gram. I think you should.
On the gram.
Because, Erin is really funny. So
God bless. Thank you. I know it's funny, the things that like you can do on
more.
LinkedIn and then the things that you can do on Instagram, they just feel like two different worlds, but I blur them. I still post on LinkedIn some of my stuff because I'm like, you know what? This is life now.
Keeping it real on both sides. Totally. Awesome. Thanks so much for being on. This was really fabulous. I love the conversation. And I hope that some people, including myself, sort of broken down the barriers to, oh gosh, improv in the workplace? Come on. We've turned that from ketchup into peanut butter on apples, which is actually a thing that goes really, really well together. Awesome. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, then check out 2 other awesome resources to help you become a leader people love to work with. This includes my best-selling book, The Confident and Competent New Manager, which you can find on Amazon or at ramonashaw.com/book, and a free training on how to successfully lead as a new manager. You can check it out at ramonashaw.com/masterclass. These resources and a couple more you'll find in the show notes down below.